I was having y'all but Rico from Street Scores, and are we now Deshaun Watson, Malik Willis, or bust? I mean, there's a lot going on right now, a lot of things to discuss and to catch y'all up on from the various events that have gone down this weekend and even yesterday as in Monday and today as in Tuesday. First of all, it looks like Rivera and the Washington Commanders really want Deshaun Watson, one of the only teams that are actively pursuing him right now. We're going to discuss the other team as well. Also, there's a trustworthy source, a very trustworthy source, not a random rumor, saying that even if we miss out on Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and we've already missed out on Aaron Rodgers, we're going to talk about that at some point in this video as well, that even if we miss on all of those top guys, even if we sign like a Trubisky, a Mariota, a Jameis Winston, it's still very likely that we will draft a quarterback in the first round. We got to talk about that. Also, a big salary cap update. I mean, it's an NFL-wide salary cap update, but I'm going to give you the exact number of salary cap that the Washington Commanders have going into this free agency coming up next week. I'm excited. And then of course we have to talk about some big name free agents that will be available and what free agents we're already attached to, like Tyrann Mathieu, Allen Robinson, Marcus Williams, and many more. I mean, even Christian McCaffrey. So there's a lot to discuss in this video, but before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, all of my channel members, I'm about to start doing film sessions, especially like on the quarterback class. It's going to be like raw, unedited, just chilling. Video might run for like an hour. It's going to be exclusive to y'all. When I do my official film sessions where it's more organized and it's super edited and everything chopped up correctly in order, then that will be released to the public. But these raw and edited versions where I'm just gonna be chilling and watching film, some Malik Willis film, some Kenny Pickett film, or even another position group. Like I like Darian Beavers from Cincinnati at linebacker to potentially be our starting Mike linebacker of the future. So I may look at some guys' film and just do my immediate raw reactions to that, and that will be exclusive to the channel members. So be on the lookout for all of that, and of course be on the lookout for all of the updates concerning this entire team. Y'all know I'm coming with videos very often, and with free agency coming up, I got to do my mock free agency. I got to talk about the free agents that I want at each position of need. I've already done a preview of that way long ago, like as soon as our season ended, but I'm also going to do an updated version based on the guys that are now available, who's not available, and our updated cap space. And of course I'm gonna do live streams and live reactions to the free agents that we get, because it looks like we may potentially be buyers this upcoming free agency, again within a week. So let's see how this goes, man. Let's get it. All right, so first of all, now that it looks like Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are out of the picture, the Commanders are expected to turn their attention to Jimmy Garoppolo, Deshaun Watson, and Mitchell Trubisky, along with Derek Carr. As far as the veteran guys, we're going to talk about the draft guys a little bit later. And this is a rumor slash report. Not exactly sure how trustworthy this source is that this came from, but these are the rumors that were spiraling around the NFL Combine. And a lot of those rumors, I mean, even if it's from an untrustworthy source, those rumors coming from the Combine tend to hold a little bit of weight. But now we got to talk about Deshaun Watson. And I know several people may have already talked about it like yesterday, but it's crazy, man. According to Aaron Wilson, the Commanders have strong interest in Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. And what's really interesting about this report specifically is that Aaron Wilson is a very trustworthy source. A lot of the times it's just like a random account, maybe like a Twitter account or a blog that doesn't have any serious merit. But like Aaron Wilson like has trustworthy ties to the team. And so I believe them when they say this. And then to back it up, there's just multiple reports coming from different sources saying that it's reportedly just down to the Washington Commanders and the Carolina Panthers competing for Deshaun Watson right now. There may be multiple teams interested, but it's been reported that Carolina and Washington are the two teams at the top that are the most aggressive about it. And it's really interesting because draft wise, the Panthers picked before us this next draft, or this upcoming draft. They're 6th, we're 11th, so they have better draft capital than we do in a way though, because they don't have a second round pick, but they do have a higher first round pick. But then players wise, I feel like we have more players that you could potentially trade to the Texans that they will value more, like one of those defensive linemen or whatever situation you want to get into. I feel like if it became a bidding war between us and the Panthers, we could win it. But I mean, none of that's gonna matter if his case doesn't get solved and the NFL doesn't brush it under the rug. Because we know the NFL, man, just because you aren't held legally responsible, you're proven innocent or whatever, the NFL can still suspend you. Like, the NFL does not necessarily care what goes down in the court system. So that doesn't necessarily mean Deshaun Watson, even if he settles everything, will just be scot-free in the NFL's eyes. Who knows though? But JP Finlay reported that Deshaun Watson would likely consider waiving his trade clause for Washington. Remember, weeks ago, months ago, we kept hearing that Deshaun Watson only wanted to go to a set few places and DC was not one of them. Now apparently Deshaun Watson is actually cool with the idea. Maybe this is a result of the Miami Dolphins closing the door on the Deshaun Watson situation. They came out and publicly said, we're done, we're not in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, and that was reportedly one of the places he wanted to go to most. And now that that's not an option, maybe he finally looked around and was like, hey, Washington Commanders aren't that bad, like I could make something shake there. Them guys won 7 games with Taylor Heineke, one of the worst injury situations in the NFL, got hit with COVID really hard, one of the worst COVID-19 situations in the NFL, and had the toughest schedule out of any team in the NFL. Like, Deshaun Watson has to look at our team and be like, man, they get me and they draft well, they do some things in this free agency, we could be Super Bowl contenders. So again, I don't know how trustworthy that source is from JP Finlay, but I could definitely see that scenario being a real thing. Also, there's an interesting idea that maybe the Deshaun Watson situation doesn't figure itself out by, say, like April 1st. And so maybe we go sign like a Trubisky for now, and then you still continue to pursue Deshaun Watson, and when he goes scot-free, maybe then you trade for him. And so now Mitchell Trubisky getting paid pennies anyway, he's your backup. Just like the Bills did with him being the backup for Josh Allen this past year, and you have Deshaun Watson as your starter. Who knows, man? But then Ben Standig reported that the Mitchell Trubisky situation and his attachment to the Washington Commanders may just be smoke. It may just be a distraction, a decoy, so teams think we're interested in him when we're really interested in these other guys and we don't want to show our cards. Moving on from Deshaun Watson, you also have the Derek Carr pursuit. It's been reported that Washington is one of the multiple teams who have expressed interest in trading for Raiders quarterback Derek Carr, per sources. And there's no surprise. I mean, it's already been said that we're interested in everybody. We had a list of 42 quarterbacks, and that didn't even stop us from calling the Chiefs about Pat Mahomes. So of course we're interested in Derek Carr. If we even took the time to call the Chiefs about Pat Mahomes, and Derek Carr is a far more available quarterback, then I'm not surprised. By default, we're interested in all of these guys, really. There's no special report on that, but it is important to emphasize that Derek Carr is one of them, because it is quite likely that he could get moved. And then maybe the Raiders attack quarterback in the draft, but I kind of see that as a hard thing to do for them. I mean, they're trying to win a whole new fan base, moving to Las Vegas. They just made the playoffs. I think it's going to be hard to convince their fan base, the one that they're trying to win over currently, that they're potentially going into a rebuild. You take a quarterback and maybe you take a step back, maybe he's not ready to win games immediately. So I think they're going to go after another veteran, even if they move Derek Carr, but I think they're more than likely going to do whatever they can to keep Derek Carr. Now, these draft quarterbacks, as far as their relation to the Washington Commanders, it's been reported that the Commanders are obsessed with finding a long-term answer at quarterback, which means a young guy, which means more than likely in the draft. It's been reported by Dan Graziano that Washington could sign a quarterback in free agency and still draft a quarterback in the first round, 11th overall, maybe even trade up. He said, quote, I do have my eye on the Washington Commanders at number 11 for the spot where the first quarterback could go off the board. Now, to stop his quote, remember Carolina looking for a quarterback, they picked 6th. And now that the Seahawks have traded Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos, now the Seahawks need a quarterback. They take the Denver Broncos pick, which will be 9th overall. And I mean, unless they get a guy in free agency, maybe like a Jameis Winston, it's not a lot of guys left. Maybe they somehow convince themselves of Mitch Trubisky. I doubt it. It looks like they're going to take a quarterback in the draft. The Panthers and the Seahawks are definitely our biggest threats at taking a quarterback before it's in the draft, as how the draft order stands right now. I mean, Drew Lock was traded to the Seahawks as part of the Russell Wilson trade, but I don't know. I mean, unless they see something in them very quickly, I don't think Drew Lock stops you from taking Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, or if you like any of these other quarterbacks. For me, I just really hope they don't take Malik Willis. As long as we get Malik Willis, I don't care what else is going on. Remember, we pick 11th. And then, I mean, the Giants say they're sticking with Daniel Jones, but they pick 5th and 7th. And then who knows what the Vikings are going to do with Kirk Cousins. They pick behind us, but they could trade up. Who knows what the Browns are going to do with Baker Mayfield. I think they're going to at least give him one more year, but you never know. Maybe they trade up. The Eagles, they say that Jalen Hurts is their starter, but who knows? Maybe they trade up. The Saints, it's been reported that they're interested in Jameis Winston, bringing him back, or maybe even going to get Jimmy Garoppolo, but maybe they trade up. And then the Steelers are the scariest threat to me as far as a trade up candidate to just go right in front of us and take the quarterback that we want. For me personally, Malik Willis. But that's really interesting that Dan Graziano thinks that none of the quarterbacks will get taken before our 11th pick, and we'll be able to pick from any of the quarterbacks like Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell, Matt Corral, all these guys, Carson Strong. That's really interesting. But back to his quote. He said, quote, Washington has been calling around on every veteran option, but I'm told it has also been focused on the rookies. The Commanders know they need a quarterback for 2022, but they're obsessed with finding an answer at the position for the long term. Even if they sign a veteran in free agency, don't be surprised if they use their first round pick on a quarterback as well. The top candidates are Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett, unquote. Very interesting, a lot to unpack there, but the most important thing is to take away that the thing I was worried about, I've talked about it in several videos these past couple of weeks, is that I didn't want us to sign like a Jameis Winston or a Mitchell Trubisky or Marcus Mariota, any of these guys, and that stops you from taking one of these quarterbacks in the draft that you really like. And we're not just talking about any quarterback. We're not talking about Bailey Zapp in like the 2nd or 3rd. We're talking about don't let Mitchell Trubisky signed in free agency stop you from taking Malik Willis 11th or higher in the 1st round. If you like Malik Willis, if you like Kenny Pickett, any of these guys, getting a Mitchell Trubisky or even a Jameis Winston, who's my favorite out of all of the lower tier guy options, should not stop you from getting that quarterback in the 1st round. Don't sign Mitchell Trubisky and be like, well, now we can just wait to draft a quarterback like in the 4th or 5th round or later. And also, I'm not sure if people know this, but the NFL teams are only allowed 45 formal interviews at the combine. So that means if a player had a formal interview with the team, where they went to like a separate conference room and like watched film like how we did with quarterbacks, that means that you're on that team's radar. They're not just going to waste one of their 45 interviews. That's total. That's not 45 quarterback meetings. That's not 45 offensive lineman meetings. That's 45 meetings total from all of the players at the combine. So if you meet with Malik Willis, you have 44 formal interviews left to interview all position groups: corners, receivers, offensive linemen, linebackers especially, free safeties especially. So doesn't necessarily mean that we're definitely going to get a guy if we interviewed him, but know that that holds some weight. And we definitely interviewed Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, and I believe Desmond Ridder as well, and maybe some other guys. We got to get some more official reports on that. Y'all know I'm gonna keep y'all updated on that as well. All of the prospects that we're interested in, whether we're connected to them through reports or Rivera spoke highly of them, or we've met with them officially or unofficially, y'all know I'm gonna come back with that Excel sheet that I came out with that I will give y'all access to through a link, just like last year. Now moving on to Aaron Rodgers, he's pretty much gone. The Packers and quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who just won MVP again, even though he folded in the playoffs, have agreed to a 4-year, $200 million deal that makes him the highest paid player in NFL history. He's going to get $153 million of it guaranteed. And it's crazy because his cap number actually goes down. Cap space is a myth, man. And we already knew this was pretty much over with. Like, while I was working on gathering all my notes and research and sources to make this video, it was already reported that Aaron Rodgers was deciding between the Packers, the Broncos, the Steelers, or the Titans. Like, we weren't even in contention anyway. And then now he's officially with the Packers for like another 4 years. So yeah, that's over with, which takes me to the point that, like, is Watson the only big name quarterback left? Russell Wilson is off limits, and then Aaron Rodgers is officially done, so that just leaves Deshaun Watson and then all of the lower tier guys. So now is it to the point that it's basically Deshaun Watson, Malik Willis, or bust? Just depends on how you feel about the situation, because a lot of people like Kenny Pickett more than Willis, Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell. But either way, is it Deshaun Watson, 1st round quarterback, or bust at this point? Now moving on to the fun part of the video, let's get to the random notes and free agents. Let's start with the random. First of all, Terry McLaurin, please get him a quarterback, man. We talk about quarterbacks over and over again because at the very least, Terry McLaurin deserves one. Just 62.7% of Terry McLaurin's targets this past season were catchable. That was the lowest rate out of all receivers with 100 plus targets this past season. That's ridiculous, man. Help that man. He's a top 10 receiver. He's just not able to put up top 10 stats because the quarterback situations he's been having to deal with since he's been drafted has been terrible. You could argue it's been the worst, with Allen Robinson maybe like a close second. And we're going to talk about Allen Robinson a little bit later. Also, it's been reported by Ben Standig that Washington is actively working to renegotiate Landon Collins' contract. He's currently a $16.2 million cap hit this upcoming season, this 2022 season, and he'll be a similar cap hit the next 2 seasons as well each. And to put it in perspective, he's our biggest cap hit on the team right now. Like, he's our highest paid player on the entire team. Now, when Terry McLaurin gets that extension, we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty sure he'll be the highest paid player, but just think about it. Landon Collins is making more in 2022 than Jonathan Allen, than any of these guys on our roster right now. So that and that's one of the main reasons they want to restructure him, man. He's taking up too much space. I loved what he did as the hybrid linebacker safety role, but it's not worth $16.2 million each year. It's just not. So if they were to cut him today, like literally right now, they would save $6.6 million of that cap space. But if they were to wait until post June 1st, they would save $12 million. You know, and that sounds nice, but by June 1st, free agency has already passed. The draft is already passed. So you're saving $12 million to spend it where at that point? All of the top free agents are going to be gone more than likely anyway. Maybe like Deshaun Watson finally gets his situation cleared, and then that's like the move you make to free up a quick $12 million to get Deshaun Watson. But other than that, all of these top free agents we're talking about, top offensive linemen, wide receivers, free safety, linebackers, guards specifically for us, they'll be gone by June 1st. So, I mean, it'd be nice to save more money, but at that point, again, what would you be spending that money on unless you're just trying to clear cap space for a top quarterback, Deshaun Watson? But yeah, man, please, Landon Collins, take that pay cut, bro, because I would love to keep you, but not at that money, man. And then, of course, a big announcement that kind of shocked everybody. The NFL's 2022 salary cap will be $208.2 million this upcoming season, this 2022 season. Just to let you know, 2018 it was $177.2 million, 2019 it was $188.2 million, 2020 it was $198.2 million, and then 2021, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it went down for the first time in like forever to $182.5 million, and now we're back on track. It jumped all the way up to $208.2 million, which is a $25.6 million increase. That's big. That's really, really big. This is also the first time that the NFL cap space has ever reached $200 million, obviously. And then it's going to be crazy because with the new TV deals that are about to get done, the salary cap is going to skyrocket. So I think it's best to go ahead and get guys signed now. Like, get Terry McLaurin done as soon as possible, preferably before this free agency period that starts this next week. And then go ahead and get Montez Sweat done, Deron Payne, all of these guys. Because when that cap space skyrockets, those deals will look so much cheaper relatively. I'm excited about this, man. We'll see how this goes. But of course, the problem is salary cap is always a myth, man. Teams always find a way. They'll be in the negatives, and then they'll go and sign free agents as soon as free agency starts, and then they somehow get under the negative by the time the season starts. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. I mean, you even have the Cowboys somehow clearing up $22 million worth of cap space by restructuring Dak Prescott's and Zach Martin's contracts, man. I mean, cap space is really a myth. I don't know how we're not doing this. We have started to backload contracts like Curtis Samuel and William Jackson. Their contracts are definitely hitting heavier the further they go into their contracts. The first year that we signed them last season wasn't hitting that much. Now we're starting to kind of fill those signings a little bit more. But like teams out here making $22 million out of thin air, like the Cowboys just did, like the Saints have been doing, the Chiefs, all these teams that have been in a negative in cap space, I don't know how they're doing it. But hey, man. But focusing on us, with the cap space now set at $208.2 million, we currently have $33.38 million of cap space heading into free agency. That's a good number. Remember, we have top 10 cap space, so this should be fun. And then let's get to the exciting part. League sources around the NFL believe the Commanders could try to make a splash at the wide receiver position. And as many of y'all know, Amari Cooper looks like he will be available. The Cowboys will probably just end up cutting him. He's unhappy there. He wants to get paid more, all of that type of stuff. They could save money by cutting him. Now, of course, like I've already said in previous videos, the priority is to get Terry McLaurin locked down long term. Also, getting a top quarterback. So if signing Amari Cooper, bringing him here, even though it'd be nice to have him, Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, hopefully DeAndre Carter back, and all of these weapons, that'd be nice. But I'm not letting Amari Cooper stop us from getting Deshaun Watson. And this is a tricky situation because it seems like Amari Cooper's going to get scooped up immediately. Like once he's released and free agency starts, you don't have time to wait to see what's going to happen. So it's with us waiting to see if Deshaun Watson's case figures itself out. Us waiting to see if we're just going to end up taking a quarterback in the first round. So now we actually can use this cap space on other players. I think honestly, if we go out and start spending money like crazy in free agency, that shows we've given up on Deshaun Watson. We've given up on all of those top veteran quarterbacks, and we're focused on getting a guy in the first round. Because once you spend all that money, you extend Terry McLaurin, you re-sign JD McKissic, all of these guys, you go and get a guy like Amari Cooper and a few of these other guys we're about to talk about soon, one or two of them. That just shows we're done saving cap space for a top paid quarterback. We're gonna focus on drafting a guy like Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett and use this money now while we can, while all of these guys are still available, and we'll go into the draft with not a lot of cap space. We spent it on high quality players. And then it's also been reported that we are once again interested in trying to get Amari Cooper. Remember, before Amari Cooper signed that big contract with the Cowboys, we offered him more money than the Cowboys did. He declined, and now he's unhappy. So he probably looks and feels stupid, but it's whatever. It looks like we have no hard feelings. If we can, we're gonna go try to get him. Again, be nice to have Amari Cooper in fantasy land, but I'm not letting Amari Cooper stop me from extending Terry McLaurin for all of the money that he deserves, from getting a top quarterback if that's what we want to do, and trying to get a Deshaun Watson. But in a fantasy land, it would be nice to have Amari Cooper. Moving on, I don't know how, but right now we have the highest odds to land Chiefs star safety Tyrann Mathieu, which would be really interesting. Him and Cameron Curl would be a deadly safety tandem, man. And getting Tyrann Mathieu, even though he's kind of up there in age, that's two birds with one stone, bro. You get a starting free safety and a slot guy. I mean, who knows what's going on necessarily with Benjamin St. Juste, but you get Tyrann Mathieu, him and Cameron Curl, all you need is safety position. And somehow you get Landon Collins to restructure his contract, and he's a hybrid linebacker safety group. Secondary is dead. That's the last missing piece. I like Bobby McCain. I'm willing to re-sign him. I don't hate him as much as a lot of the fan base does. Also don't believe he should be our starting free safety going into this next season. I also believe that we shouldn't pay him a lot of money. I think when in doubt, go and get Daxton Hill from Michigan. Let him start at free safety for us. Him and Cameron Curl will be a deadly tandem as well. But if you want to spend more money for the more safe option, the guy that you know for sure can come in and ball out for you, you go and get Tyrann Mathieu. But he's probably going to cost a lot. And that goes back to the point that if we just go ahead and say, forget trying to get a Deshaun Watson or a Russell Wilson, you actually do have the money to go get these guys. Also bringing up wide receiver Allen Robinson from the Bears. Apparently the Bears will not franchise tag him once again. He will actually hit free agency this time. May try to get him. All depends on how we want to handle our cap space situation. And then the Panthers just let everybody know that Christian McCaffrey is available and they're listening for trades. Now, of course, I don't think we should do that. We already have, I'm not saying anybody on our roster is Christian McCaffrey, but the picks you would have to give up to get him, then you're going to have to pay him. I just don't think it's worth it. And then he can't stay healthy. I'm done drafting him in fantasy leagues. Like if I have the first overall pick, I'm not taking Christian McCaffrey no more. I'm not falling for that old trick again. So I just don't think it would be smart. But you already know, man. Anything Panthers, Ron Rivera is on it. I'm pretty sure he would love to get his guy Christian McCaffrey back. I'm pretty sure Scott Turner would love to get him back. But I just don't see it as a realistic option. It just doesn't make sense for us. Also, the Patriots have released linebacker Kyle Van Noy. Maybe we can look into that. And speaking of wide receivers, Davante Adams will more than likely be franchise tagged by the Packers. Of course, we should have expected that. Once Aaron Rodgers re-signed, it had already been reported like weeks ago that Aaron Rodgers is more than likely going to pick where he goes based on where Davante Adams goes. He wants to play with his receiver. He cares less about the Packers than he does playing with his receiver. And knowing that Aaron Rodgers committed to the Packers for 4 years, the Packers must have some plan in place, and Rodgers must know about this plan, that they're going to keep Davante Adams long term as well. So they're going to probably franchise tag him this year and figure something out later. But again, Aaron Rodgers wants to play with Davante Adams, and for him to sign a 4-year deal, he must know something that we don't know about how the Packers are going to keep Davante Adams for those 4 years. Also, gotta update y'all on some guys that won't be available. Buccaneers wide receiver Chris Godwin will be tagged, so he's not an option. And then also Al Galdi Galdi has a good point. He tweeted out, what's going on with Amari Cooper and Austin Hooper is further proof that real value in free agency is via short-term prove-it contracts, with which the Commanders under Ron Rivera have done well. Logan Thomas, J.D. McKissic, Charles Leno, Cornelius Lucas, Wes Schweitzer, DeAndre Carter, and Ronald Darby. And I agree. I mean, I didn't want Austin Hooper to begin with. I didn't want Amari Cooper because of the money he was asking for. I just didn't want Austin Hooper, period. I already knew that a lot of his production was a little fabricated. Like, it was just, you have Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones out there. Everybody's focusing on them. So he's just eating in the red zone because Matt Ryan's only looking at him because he knows defenses are focusing on stopping those other two guys. So I already knew Austin Hooper wasn't this great tight end. A lot of people kept saying. I kept saying, please don't go and give Austin Hooper big money. I was so glad when the Browns swooped up and got him. But yeah, Al Galdi has a great point that we've been hitting on a lot of our low-key prove-it deal free agency signings. We've already given Logan Thomas long-term money, Charles Leno, and maybe we do the same with J.D. McKissic, Wes Schweitzer, Cornelius Lucas, DeAndre Carter. Ronald Darby got away, but then he went to a situation where he didn't even get to play as much as he played here, so that was kind of a loss on his part more so than ours. But yeah, I completely agree with Al Galdi right here. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section, let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. I mean, everything, the quarterback situations, the free agency situations, how cap space is a myth, man. It's just like, bruh, can we be as aggressive as these other teams? Like how the Cowboys just made $22 million appear out of thin air. Can we start to do stuff like that so we can go and get Tyrann Mathieu and Allen Robinson? You know what I'm saying? So definitely get in the comment section and let me know. I'll be in there reading them. I'll reply to all of the ones that I can. I'm just busy, but I definitely want to read as many comments as possible and reply to as many as possible as well. But man, I appreciate all the support, man. Shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. Promise y'all, live streams will be coming back, especially for this free agency period. But I also want to do like a, how do y'all feel about the Washington Commanders now type of live stream? Like, how do y'all feel about the name, the jerseys? Have y'all warmed up to it, or are y'all still very angry about it? So I'm gonna do like a checkup live stream like that soon. Of course, like I said, a bunch of free agency live streams, live reactions. Say we sign Tyrann Mathieu day one in free agency, I'm gonna do a video reaction and I'm immediately throwing up a live stream because we got to talk about this. May even open up the phone lines for y'all to call in and give y'all opinions on it and all of that. So it's about to be a lot of content coming, and like I already promised in the intro, I will be giving exclusive content to my sponsors, specifically the film sessions, just raw, uncut, unedited, just me chilling, watching Malik Willis, watching any of these prospects, whether it be a quarterback or not, and we're just going to talk football. It might run for like an hour or two, again, unedited, all of that. So stay tuned for all of that, man. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.